This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
And welcome back to another edition of the TWSN Tailgate Show. As always, I am Matt Levine, joined by my co-host Joshua Northcutt and our pretty much permanent co-host. I'm always going to say that because he's not officially official, but he's always here now. Bill Sparks. How you guys doing today? Bill, how are you doing?
Listen, I am doing well. Last week's slate of college football, I was going into it, I was going to be very disappointed with some of the reactions because it just didn't seem like that hot of a slate when we talked about it last week. And then some fireworks happened. And one of the fireworks I called, and I'm going to reference it simply by saying LSU left Brian Kelly at the Baton Rouge bus stop. And
we will get into that, Bill, but you are correct. I don't think any of us expected the bus stop to be so soon, I'll say.
Yes.
But we will get into that in a few minutes here because we all have a lot to say since we last met because there was a big change in the SEC. Josh, how are you doing? Because what I remember is a couple weeks ago, you were up how many games? 10, 11? 13, something like that.
Yeah.
What's the record now?
Pretty sure we're tied.
Pretty sure we're tied. I'm very sure we're tied.
I need to clarify something. I was doing great until Bill became a full-time member of this team. He's gone on like
you cannot blame Bill.
He might catch up.
Look, right here, everyone. Look at these records. Josh was killing me. Like he was running away with it. Look what happened.
I just had my best week while Bill has been a co-host.
And I literally had my best week. Look, we have a long way. We have a long way to go. But I want to just point this out. I told you weeks ago, when all is said and done, I was going to have a better record than you.
Yeah.
And I'm tied with you now. I almost took the lead if I had been. I should have listened to Bill on something last week, but that's okay. Live and learn. But no one wants to hear about me and Josh's beef. That's for the future here. We'll figure something out if Josh really does blow the lead fully. But let's talk about last week for a minute, just briefly here. What did you guys see? We had, as Bill said, some of the games weren't supposed to be the greatest, but then they ended up being really good. I'm going to start with you, Bill. What were some outcomes, just things that you saw last week that you were just kind of wanting to talk about or shocked at or anything?
I think the biggest one, two of them. First off, my fraud of the week last week came to fruition, even though Miami eventually routed Stanford. That first half looked ugly, and I think we have to have an honest conversation that, like I mentioned, Carson Beck's going to end up being a liability for the Hurricanes rather than being the driving force for them in the college football playoff. But also, we have to have a conversation. Alabama just finds ways to get it done. They just do. South Carolina had every answer to every question on that game, and I was fully expecting Alabama to be upset. Somehow, some way, Ty Simpson and the Crimson Tide, and I want to give him his flowers. Kalen DeBoer, the play calling at the end of that game, especially the 2-point conversion, the wherewithal and the brass tacks to be able to say, I'm going for gold, going for bust here, to make that play call. There is, for me, a clear tier of national championship contenders, and this past weekend just kind of separated that tier.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm in full agreement with you, and obviously we'll dive more into that in a little bit here. But Josh, anything you want to bring up before I bring something up that you guys probably aren't going to bring up, but I'm curious, Josh. You and I tend to think alike with a lot of things, so we'll see.
Yeah, so Ole Miss, congrats. You should be in the playoff unless you do a typical Lane Kiffin Ole Miss derail the lane train. Memphis stunned USF with 17 straight points in the fourth to take back control of their own little destiny. Vandy found a way to win via their defense. Kind of impressed with that. Sorry, Mizzou, your season's over. I don't see a true freshman being able to run the rest of the schedule undefeated. Altmaier's road woes continue, and they got beat down by Washington, just as Bill predicted. Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Put some respect on Brendan Salisbury's name. We'll get to that in a little bit. name. We'll get to that in a little bit. A&M, BTA, the LSU. Sorry, Matt. But my biggest takeaway, and it might be a hot take, it might not, and I'm interested to hear you guys' quick take on it because I know we want to move on to some different stuff. But is Iowa the fourth best team in the Big Ten?
Yes. Yes. That was not what I was going to bring up, but I've been thinking about bringing up Iowa because they've been looking kind of impressive lately. They have a really tough game against Oregon coming up, but they've been looking really good.
They get it at Iowa.
Yep.
And we all know that's a different animal when you got to go into that place. Now, will Fox probably claim it and it will be the 12 o'clock game, unfortunately? Absolutely. But if that's a night game,
Oregon tends to slip
I'm
up.
I'm not counting Iowa out in that game.
If Iowa wins out, they have a chance to get into the playoff, and that
they're in. I'll say now they're in. They will be in. 2 losses, 4 points to a rival early in the season, and then if the committee does the right thing and goes back and watches the Iowa game versus Indiana, Iowa's starting quarterback got hurt.
Yep.
They only lost by 5
to a team that's been demolished.
Very impressive since that game. I'm just saying, I don't think that's that much of a hot take, but it's crazy to think
we have not spoken about the Hawkeyes
in the next 2 weeks.
No, and the Hawkeyes are either going to go or we're going to jinx them by talking about them here.
Yeah,
because we haven't talked about them since I think like week 1 or something, and they've been just killing it. But I wanted, you brought up the true freshman from Missouri, Matt Zollers. He looked really good when he came in for Bo Pribula. Really good. Obviously, he didn't win the game, but to be thrown into that kind of environment in that SEC, he had poise, man. That kid, he got hit a few times. He was throwing it. He was like trying to do what he could. Obviously, they couldn't get over the hump, but he impressed me. And if I'm Missouri, I do everything I can to keep that kid. Make him the starter. He looked really good. It is not easy to go on the road, get thrown into the fire in the middle of a game like that, a top 20 game, and look like that. And he impressed. Granted, there was probably not much film on him, and teams will adjust. But I really like what I saw from him, and I think he could be the future of Missouri. What do you guys think? If you've even really looked into him, because I didn't heard of him until then. Then I looked up some more tape from him, some recruitment stuff. I like this kid. I think he could be the real deal.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think he's the real deal. I think you've got to find every way you can to keep him in Missouri, especially with that performance. And that performance, he led all quarterbacks in that game with passing yards, which I'm going to get into in a little bit when we talk about frauds of the week, foreshadowing. But he came out there and he played about as well as you could ask a true freshman to be dropped into that situation and play. But we also have to give Eli Drinkwitz some flowers in that scenario as well, because you are in a situation, you just watched your starting quarterback go down. You have a true freshman that you now have to drop in there. The play calling for him, it went very well from Drinkwitz. He gave Zollers as many answers as Zollers could handle, and you saw it with how well he performed. A QBR of 93.5 from a true freshman in that game against Vanderbilt, against a top 10 team. Like, you can't ask for a better start or a better performance from both the quarterback and the head coach.
Yeah, obviously Drinkwitz has, we'll see what happens with him. But I think if these two stay together, I think Missouri could do something here. I really like this kid. It was only, a quarter and a half or so of play from him. But, I really, really liked what I saw. But, that's okay. Bill, I want to get into your favorite part of the week. Your fraud of the week. I think we know where this is going because you obviously just foreshadowed this. But Bill, who is your fraud of the week for this week?
Yes. So my fraud of the week, let me give you some numbers here. This fraud of the week has not eclipsed 200 passing yards versus a top 10 team this year, and only once in 3 games last year. Just had a game where he had a season low 265 yards of total offense, has not thrown for 200 yards in SEC play this season. His defining win is against a LSU team that has completely fallen off the rails. Played against South Carolina without Lenore Sellers. Played against Missouri without Bo Pribula. completing less than 50% of his passes of more than 10 yards this season. A third of his passing touchdowns came in one game versus Utah State, who was 121st in passing yards allowed. And I know what you're going to say. Bill, he's a dual threat quarterback. He can run around. He can make plays. Blake Horvath from Navy and Haynes King from Georgia Tech outpace him in rushing yards and rushing TDs. Folks, it's time to talk about it. Diego Pavia is a fraud, and we've got to take him out of the Heisman conversation because there are quarterbacks that are better at dual threat work than him. Haynes King at Georgia Tech and Blake Horvath at Navy. He's not moving the ball offensively, and you just watched him struggle against Mizzou. Tell me what you see in Diego Pavia, because I'm not seeing it.
I mean, at least he gets the job done when it matters.
Against who? Charleston Southern and Virginia Tech?
You know what? Look, Vandy, for all his flaws, right? He is, and I'm not disagreeing with you because he hasn't. Yeah, he's looked okay. You know, we talked about him possibly being in the Heisman race last week if he were to, continue. But I mean, he gets it done. It's not always going to be pretty. Here's the thing. I don't think anyone in Vanderbilt, I don't think anyone there cares as long as they're winning. If they win the game, no one really cares how he plays. That's the thing. And credit to that Vanderbilt team. They keep winning. Now, we're going to see what happens over these last few weeks here, but they have established themselves as a true title contender right now with at least the wins that they have. We'll see how it holds up, but I'm not going to just fully disagree with you here because you make some good points here.
I'm going to sum it up as what Will just said, though. It's just the personality is contagious, and that's why everybody likes him. But besides that, I 100% agree. Haynes King deserves more conversation for a Heisman talk. I'm going to say it again, and I know people are probably tuning out because I'm going to say the name again. Brendan Sorsbury deserves more freaking talk about the Heisman.
We'll see.
But yeah, no. We'll talk more about Vanderbilt in a minute.
Yeah, but we will. But I like the pick, Bill. Bill has been great with his frauds. Thank you always for throwing that out there. We're going to get into some rumors here for a minute. Before we dive into, our bracket and all of that and the games, we have some other things we have to talk about, guys. Some things that have happened, some rumors that are happening. We're going to start with one of these interesting rumors that came out recently, I believe.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
Dropped hard
James
yesterday.
Franklin maybe going to Virginia Tech. I mean, he was a candidate for a few other jobs, and I guess he wants maybe a little bit less of a pressure situation. Because that would be Virginia Tech, in my opinion. What do you guys make of this? Josh, I'm going to start with you. What do you make of this potential pairing between Franklin and Virginia Tech?
I like it personally. He knows the area very well, knows how to recruit it from his Maryland days. He's kind of got that attitude of a Virginia Tech type stuff where he still wants to run the ball, playmaker type at quarterback. Not your Michael Vick. Like, he's not going to find your Michael Vick. But he's still going to find you a reliable quarterback, I guess, game manager. But Virginia Tech needs to be back. Me and Bill have been pounding the table since the beginning of the year, before the season started, when Bill talked about his top places to play. At one point, Virginia Tech was one of the most, if not the most feared place to play on a night game. It's never going to be LSU now. It's not, though even A&M doesn't think that's much of an issue anymore. But it still shouldn't matter. You still should have that fear and that electricity when Enter Sandman is playing and they're running out of that smoke. I would love to hire. I truly would love to hire. But my question is, if you're James Franklin, why jump straight in now? Maybe because then I don't know the rules. Bill, you would maybe know the guidelines better. Would he be allowed to talk to recruits immediately from being hired? So, would he be able to contact those recruits that were at Penn State and say, hey, I'm now at Virginia Tech, let's get this done, decommit, come to us kind of thing? Is that allowed, or is it still he can't technically do that until the season ends?
Technically still can't do it until the season ends, but obviously that first press release that goes out, James Franklin now at Virginia Tech, recruits are going to be like, well, I was going to go to Penn State to play with him, and now he's here. So you probably see a lot of decommits.
Yeah.
The other big thing, too, to mention with that, and we mentioned it with a lot of jobs, there's only one transfer window this year, and it's the month of January when a lot of these coaches are going to be in the college football playoff. So to get James Franklin, I think it's the biggest thing for Virginia Tech to get a guy who's not going to have to play in the playoff, and he can hit the ground running come January 1st.
Yeah, the only thing I was curious about the Virginia Tech job, and it is a better job, but for James Franklin to be able to stick it maybe to Penn State, should he maybe wait for the Maryland job and see if it comes open? He was a former coach there. He is basically from the area. Our buddy Garrett, who writes for TWSN, has been a strong believer in James Franklin, and Maryland is a match made in heaven. You've already got the freshman sensation in, I believe it's Malik Washington is the quarterback right now, who has done very well for being quote unquote a Maryland quarterback. I would maybe hold out to see if Maryland was going to become open or if you can work your way into Maryland. But then again, James Franklin at Virginia Tech makes them an ACC contender next year, if at worst 2 years.
I mean, I like him at Virginia Tech. I think it's, like I said, it's a little bit of a less of a pressure situation than Penn State. And we all have seen what James Franklin has done when the pressure's on. My question is when it comes to the commits, right, for Penn State, why would you leave Penn State to go to Virginia Tech? Because Penn State, you're going to be more in the national spotlight. Unless you are literally going to Penn State, or James Franklin.
If you're part of that team to turn around Virginia Tech,
that was going to be my other point. That was the only thing I could think of I would go to Virginia Tech unless you are in love with Virginia Tech, right? But I feel like Penn State, but think about it, you could be the players that help Penn State get back up.
Yeah. It would be pending the coach situation though, because what if the coach that goes there doesn't fit your style of play? Like case in point,
I think they have to wait though. That's the problem with the transfer window being what it is now. It kind of gives these guys these small windows to make a decision that could be life changing, basically.
Yeah.
So
and we also have to figure out. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's going to be interesting because I think James Franklin. I was thinking James Franklin might want to take another high profile job, but I mean,
Virginia Tech is high profile.
They haven't really been
disrespecting Virginia Tech.
I'm not disrespecting them. What have they done lately?
Well, that's the problem. They're hiring crap coaches. They literally have hired.
You were up here weeks ago saying James Franklin was a crap coach, and now you're saying he should go to Virginia Tech.
I don't think he's a crap coach. I just don't think he can win the big game when it came to.
So why would Virginia Tech want him?
I think he can do well at Virginia Tech because
if he can't win the big game, how is he going to get Virginia Tech back up?
There's less pressure on him at Virginia Tech, and I know that sounds.
But if they start winning, if they are in the ACC conversation,
you're only competing against Miami and Clemson, and Clemson's a dumpster fire to the point where who's to say Dabo's there if they lose again this week? They lose to Duke, they're going to set that place on fire.
Mm-hmm. I like the pairing.
That's all I say.
I like Virginia. I'm not disrespecting. I literally one of the first franchises in college football with the college football game I did with Virginia Tech because I liked the school. It's a cool school. I'm just saying I like the pairing. I think if I'm James Franklin, I might hold out for something a little bigger after being the Penn State coach. That's just
I don't think there will be bigger. That's the thing.
That's the question. Is there going to be something else? Because I've seen his name and some other rumors that just don't make any sense. But it's going to be something to watch for because we have some big name coaches that are on the market right now. And speaking of big name coaches.
Go ahead, Matt.
Bill?
Yes.
No, Matt, you got to go first.
I'm going to let Bill talk. No. I want Bill to talk first. Bill?
Yes.
We talked about this last week. I brought it up. Is it time to talk about Brian Kelly? I did not expect this to happen this quickly. I get that they got their asses handed to them in the second half of that game. Because in the first half, I was like, oh, look, they might actually do something. Maybe they're going to pull the upset. And the second half came out. They looked flat. I don't know what was going on. Brian Kelly is fired maybe not even 24 hours after the game ends. Sunday night or Sunday, like early Sunday evening for me, Sunday evening, late Sunday evening for you guys. What do you make of this? Because Did LSU make the right decision? That's my first question before we get into who's next. Did they make the right decision, or was this a rash decision? This decision based on this blowout loss?
They made the absolute 100% right decision. Brian Kelly was never a fit for SEC football. Brian Kelly, his entire career, has coached in the Midwest, Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. And you guys know about it. And I wrote about it over at TWSN.net about this LSU job. The SEC is a different breed of animal when it comes to football. It is a religion down there. And the big thing about the South, too, folks don't really know that much about. They are very welcoming people in the South. In the Southeastern Conference, they treat you like family. But when you start to stick out and you start to give off the perception that you're just trying to fake it till you make it, and I harken back to the fake Cajun accent that he had during his presser, you could tell he was trying to fake it till he make it. The big thing about that, though, if you're winning, they don't care. You win a national championship at LSU, they don't care. You get your ass handed to you on national television, you're going to get left at a Baton Rouge bus stop. Yeah. So I think it was absolutely 100% the right decision. But I'll also throw this out there to both you guys. Are we sure that LSU is the premium job in this cycle? Because I don't think it is anymore with the whole situation about the governor of Louisiana getting involved and the fact that you have to light all this money on fire for a buyout and the SEC in itself. And then the history of it. You've got the 3 prior coaches to Brian Kelly have all won national championships, and Ed Orgeron, Les Miles, Nick Saban. You've got to follow in those footsteps. It's all starting to pile on.
First 4 years too.
In the first 4 years.
Josh, I'm going to let you answer that before I answer, because I think I have a different take with it. Maybe. Josh, what do you? I want you to answer.
I still think it's the job to have. I think there's maybe 4 jobs, probably 3 better in the entire game to recruit and coach at than LSU. It almost recruits itself, even though Brian Kelly found out that it's not fully true.
Not in this new era, at least.
Correct. So I still think it's an elite job. But in the beginning, I was questionable whether Brian Kelly should be fired. And if you remember last week, I said he should not be. But after watching that Saturday, his team quit on him, and they needed a change, and they need something to light that fire. I heard rumors going around that originally Kelly was told to fire your offensive coordinator and maybe you could finish the year out. And Brian was then like, well, if I'm firing him, then I'm firing him and him, because he may not have had all the say in the staff that he wanted. It sounds like it was a dumpster fire from day one. And now it makes me question, because you heard the rumors about Ed O and the dumpster fire he became towards the end of it. No, towards his end of the time, by having some people there who probably shouldn't have been at practice. And then now Brian Kelly just doesn't fit. LSU needs to go out and find somebody who fits that LSU name. So that's why I'm going to just turn everything to you, Matt. I'm not into the culture of the LSU, the Bayou. Obviously, that is your land, your world. So give us a name or 2 that you would love to see there besides Nick Saban.
Yeah, I mean, Saban obviously is number 1. I don't think that's going to happen. But the way I see this, I just want to answer Bill's question really quickly. I think other than Ohio State and Texas, LSU is easily the biggest name school that you can go coach at. And I could even make the argument with Texas. Ohio State might be the only one that trumps it, in my opinion.
Oregon was the one I was thinking, because Nike.
Yeah, but Oregon doesn't have a history to back it up.
You have Nike.
They don't have the history, though. You need the history to be able to – you need the titles, you need the winning, the success, everything. The way I see this is right now, with the whole thing going on with the governor, it's not the best job, but it still is the best job in a way, if that makes sense. And the way I see this, it's very similar to the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA, where you have to be able to handle the media, to be able to handle the pressure, to be able to handle everything that comes from being within this job. If you are the head coach of the LSU Tigers football team, it doesn't matter what you do. You have to win. It does not matter. You have to be able to spin the media. You have to be able to work the narratives. You have to work everything. It's not just a coaching job. It is so much more than that, because as Bill mentioned, it is a religion down there. Baton Rouge is a college town, but it's a football town. And I know there's a lot of towns like that around the country. But if you've ever been to Baton Rouge, it is insanely LSU. It's just LSU. There's nothing else there. It's LSU, LSU, LSU. Honestly, Baton Rouge, I'm not going to say it's bigger than New Orleans, because New Orleans is New Orleans. But it's close. And LSU has no competition in that state for a Power 4 school. You own everything in that state, basically. So if you are not maximizing everything to your fullest potential, people start looking at you. Boosters start looking at you. Fans start looking at you. Everyone starts looking at you, being like, what's going on here? And Brian Kelly never fit in, as you mentioned. The whole fake accent, the dancing with the recruit, which was a little weird. It never felt authentic. It never felt real. It never felt right. LSU needs the problem with the LSU job. It's very much like the Lakers job, like I mentioned, is you need a big name, but you also need someone who works, and that's not always easy to do. They could go out there and go get Lane Kiffin. That's the easy choice, right? I don't think that's the right choice, because Lane Kiffin has proven time and time again he cannot win the big game. As you mentioned it, his teams fall off at some point until he proves it. And realistically, he's probably going to have Ole Miss in the playoff, so that hurts LSU if they were to hire him, and then how he can't do anything unless he abandons Ole Miss, just like Brian Kelly did to the Irish back in 2022 when he took the LSU job.
Yep.
LSU needs a name to be able to sell this fan base, because this fan base is angry. They were told Brian Kelly was coming here. They were a little skeptical, and people forget about Brian Kelly. He was not the first choice back in 2022. He was like the 4th or 5th choice. They wanted Lincoln Riley. He said no. He went to USC. Now, if they want to take a swing at Lincoln Riley again, I think Lincoln Riley might entertain it. I really do. He has hold on, one second, Josh. He has proven he cannot fully compete in the Big Ten. I think he could do something in the SEC with the talent and the resources that LSU offers him, with that offensive attack. He's not my favorite. He's not my number one choice. But I think LSU is going to try and get him again. That's just the way I see it. I know Scott Woodward's not going to be a part of the decision. All I know is they cannot hire the Tulane coach. As much as a football move that would be, I don't know if that's big enough for this team right now. Now, the name that I personally am skeptical about, but I think would fit the culture of LSU, because Ed Orgeron talked about it the other day, and it's not Ed Orgeron, because I do not want him back as the head coach. He can come on as an assistant. That's fine. He talked about you have to be ingrained into the culture, the city, everything. It's Dabo Swinney. He knows the South. He knows if he can get his head out of his ass when it comes to the transfer portal a little bit, imagine what he could do at LSU. The success he has seen with Clemson, put him with the LSU resources, put him with that. He knows the South. He is the South. He could fit in with that culture. He knows the communities. I think Dabo Swinney is my number one target. If I am running LSU, I'm calling Dabo. I don't care what the hell's happened at Clemson over the last year or two. I really don't. The talent hasn't been that great, and that's partly his own fault. But if he were to actually work the system the way it should be, I think Dabo could have a dynasty at LSU. That's just the way I'm seeing it. What do you guys think? Who's next at LSU? Rant over.
I must say, you summed that up perfectly, so I'm not going to add much to it. And I can't add much to it because, like I said, that's your land. That's your culture. If you want me to talk Michigan or Cincinnati or something like that, I totally can do it. But I'd never thought of Dabo, but I think that might be perfect. And I'll leave it at that, Matt. That is perfect.
I think he would thrive at LSU because it would. Oh my God, he needs a change of scenery badly, and I think LSU could be the place for him.
And at LSU, yeah, you got to hit the portal, but also they take pride in recruiting those high school kids.
They take pride in recruiting the homegrown kids, and Dabo is really good at that.
I'm gonna say you lock down Louisiana with Dabo, and then you can bounce over to Texas because he's got those ties, and he also has all his ties from his time at Clemson. I love it. Matt, I can't top it. That's the perfect hire.
Bill, who's next? Who's next here?
So I'm going to poke one hole in one agreement. I'm going to poke a hole in Lincoln Riley.
Okay.
The reason I'm going to poke a hole in Lincoln Riley, he shares the same agent as Brian Kelly and Garrett Nussmeier. And we just saw the comments from the governor about how it's too lopsided. He's not going to deal with Trace Armstrong. He's not going to deal with Lincoln Riley. But Dabo Sweeney's agent is Jimmy Sexton, different agent. As well as everybody says he's not leaving Clemson, blah, blah, blah. There's a huge buyout. LSU just lit $55 million on fire to get rid of Brian Kelly. You don't think Clemson will do the same?
Only one booster.
Yeah. You don't think Clemson will do the same? I think if Dabo gets a whiff of them being interested in him for the LSU job, he is turning tail and running from Clemson.
Yep. I think Dabo should be the number one call that LSU makes, other than Nick Saban. Nick Saban is dream scenario, but he's probably not coming back.
His dream also is to coach Alabama. We all know that. He's an Alabama kid. If you make LSU beat Alabama every single year, those boosters will very quickly forget a lot of your problems, and maybe that Alabama job becomes open to you. Matt, I think you sold me. Single-handedly, you've sold me. Not even thinking about it. If LSU doesn't get him, now I'm going to be disappointed.
He's like to me, the way I see Dabo, I'm not trying to disrespect Ed Orgeron because he's funny. I love the guy. Like, he won a championship. He is a more competent Ed Orgeron, in my opinion. That's the way I see Dabo Sweeney.
Yep. No, I agree. And the big thing, we talked about it earlier, his team's not going to be in the college football playoff. He's going to be able to hit that January transfer window.
And just I know Clemson's image, whatever, has dropped a little bit. But Dabo Sweeney still has a name. He's won multiple championships. He knows how to develop a quarterback. LSU needs offense. Dabo's offenses are typically pretty good, usually has a strong defense. What is LSU known for? It really, if you just puzzle pieces after puzzle pieces, I think Dabo has to be the guy for LSU.
And before we move on,
we're gonna see what happens here.
I do want to throw one thing out here very quickly. Brian Kelly, no way he sits a year out. I don't see it. He's too stubborn. Quickly, just one team off the top of your mind. Where do you think Brian Kelly could end up? Because I've got two. Bill?
I've got two as well. Michigan State and Wisconsin.
We agree on one. Matt,
yeah,
do you have
any
idea?
Wisconsin also.
Michigan State, and he's a Massachusetts boy. What if Boston College comes calling? And they finally put money into the program.
What about UCLA?
Me and Bill talked about it. He doesn't think he's Cali enough for him.
Yeah, but he kind of
he's going to go out there attitude. He's going to go out there and start talking about catching some waves and show up with.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it, though. I want to see how.
I'm here for it. I think he could do better there than the SEC. I think think about it. They're in the Big Ten now. He could recruit in the Midwest. I think that's a big time hire for UCLA because
I don't hate
that. With LSU, but he was great at Notre Dame.
That was the first place I thought of. I can't wait to continue to watch this cycle, though, man. This carousel.
Well, look, who's going to get fired this week? Who gets fired? Everyone's getting fired every week.
12 jobs are open. Can you imagine that? It is November, and there is
12 jobs, and this is a weak talent pool. That's the crazy part. Mm-hmm. But we got to move on because we have games to talk about here. So we're going to quickly go through our Heisman podium and our bracket here. Josh, I'll let you take this away.
Yeah, for the Heisman podium, Bill's boy officially took over the lead. Ty Simpson fell down to 2. Julian Sayin 3. Bill, I know we're kind of short on time, but I have to ask, you were the only one not to have Julian Sayin in his top 3. Instead, you had Mond. So why Mond over Sayin?
So the big reason for Marcel Reed over Julian Sayin is the simple fact that when I look at my Heisman voting, I look at if I had one game that I needed a performance from this player, not from the team, from this player, who am I taking? I take Marcel Reed over Julian Sayin, and it's because of the Jeremiah Smith effect. I think Smith is hurting Sayin more than he's helping him.
That's fair.
Interesting. I can't disagree with any of that. So honestly, this Heisman race is just, it's fun every week. We're going to go over to the bracket now before we get into the actual games here. I went a little long-winded on the Brian Kelly stuff. Sorry, guys. But here's the bracket, Josh. If you want to
Yep,
discuss
so-
our TWSN bracket, where we compiled, I think, like 5 or 6 people's brackets, and Josh put them together, and this is what it kind of came out to on a consensus.
Yep. So Ohio State still holding down to 1. A&M jumped to 2. Indiana 3. Alabama 4. Matchups would be 5 Georgia versus 12 Navy, 9 Texas Tech versus 8 Oregon, 6 Ole Miss versus 11 BYU, and 7 Georgia Tech, 10 Miami. Obviously, we're just going off now. I want to emphasize that this is not predicting the future. We're not saying Georgia Tech's going to win the ACC. This is going, if it was starting today, just as the committee is going to do on Tuesday. Very quickly, gentlemen, I have this question. Of all the teams that we're not going to talk about, so Ohio State is playing Penn State. Indiana is at Maryland. Georgia versus Florida. South Carolina at Ole Miss. Georgia Tech at NC State. Texas Tech at Kansas State. And Miami at SMU. Which one of these teams are on the biggest threat of being upset? Bill?
Ohio State.
I agree with him. It's Ohio State. And the reason I say that is because Ohio State's biggest weakness is the right side of that offensive line going up against Dennis Sutton this weekend.
And y'all are
I said it weeks ago. Josh, I just want to point this out. I said it weeks ago, before all the Penn State nonsense, before Franklin went down, before Drew Aller went down. Penn State would go into Columbus and take the Buckeyes' hearts, and it's going to happen this week.
I'll tell you right now, that happens. I'm wearing blue next to for Thursday for sure, and it's not.
I've been saying it for weeks. I don't care about all the other. Penn State is going to win the game.
My
thank you,
opinion,
Bill. I feel like slightly better because Bill at least agreed with me a little bit.
I like Kansas State's chances over Texas Tech. They've been playing a lot better. Texas Tech's quarterback is still beat up. Their second string quarterback just tore his ACL and Will Hammonds. Yep. Kansas State at home is never easy. Keep an eye on them, but Texas Tech probably still wins because of the trenches.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun week. But let's get into some of these games that we want to talk about. We're gonna start with this game because I want to hear your guys' opinions. And just to preface everything, we don't know each other's picks. This is the first week that we don't know each other's picks because Josh decided that he wanted to play unfair, and I agreed finally to agree to this because Josh gave up his lead. Josh, I'm going to you first. Vandy or Texas? Because this game is going to be fun.
We're starting off hot, I guess, with the best game of the week, arguably. It's a playoff elimination.
I don't think it's the best game of the week.
Playoff elimination matchup. Vandy may not like that because they only have one loss, but it's true. You lose to Texas, you're going to be out of playoffs. I question why Texas is favored. ESPN is giving Texas a 70% chance of winning this game. This is Texas' first game back in Austin, September 20th. Holy cow, talk about a weird schedule. Arch Manning practiced this week, but his protocol and questionable for the game last I saw as of last night. Has anything changed as of now? Have you guys seen anything?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
I think he's still in the protocol.
Matthew Codwell will get the start if Arch is out. He's a 6'4" senior transfer from Troy. Completed 63% of his passes last year, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Did a little bit on the ground, but nothing to be afraid of there. So this is going to be a different scheme. It's not like he's as athletic as Arch Manning. Texas's third rush D versus Vandy's 24th rush O. And as Bill mentioned, Pavia hasn't thrown for under 200 yards in the last 12 Power 4 matchups. I watched what Texas did to John Mateer. Mateer was beat up, but I watched it. I am concerned about the Arch Manning health, but I'm going to take the Horns to beat Vanderbilt. And unfortunately, just do it all over again to Vandy and say, prove it to me. Diego, go prove it to me. Can you make the play with your arm? Because I don't think Texas is going to let him run.
We have seen Vandy win the big games at home this year, right? LSU last week. But they lost the big game on the road when they went to Alabama. I question, much like we talked about Illinois last week and weeks before, I question whether Vanderbilt and Pavia can do this on the road. I think Texas found something a little bit last week. And Bill, your pick of Texas missing the playoff might not be coming true anymore. We'll see. I think they can fight. They can beat Georgia, but we'll talk about that later on. I'm gonna take the Horns. I'm gonna take the Horns here. I think even if Arch Manning doesn't play, I think they'll be okay. Just do just enough to win the game and keep their playoff chances alive. Are we going clean sweep, Bill, or are you taking Vandy?
We're going clean sweep. I just talked about Diego Pavia being a fraud this week, and I can't change from that when you go up against a top 10 scoring defense and a number 3 rushing defense like Texas has. The big thing to watch for Texas, Ryan Niblett, speedster as a punt return, ran a 10.4 in high school in the 100-meter dash. This guy's fast. He takes the ball, he's taking it to the house because there's no one on that Vanderbilt defense that can catch him.
Mississippi State was the one who just punted to him last week, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they shouldn't punt to that guy. Just saying.
I mean, Texas. Texas they've looked good the last few weeks. It's good. We're going to see what happens here, but they've looked pretty good.
Defense look good. Iffy on the offense.
You know what? They're winning the game. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to go to We're going to go to this game. This one's very interesting to me, at least. We all had Navy in the college football playoff at this point, going up against North Texas. Bill, I'm going to start with you. Where are you going with this game?
So, this is a true matchup of two teams that do two completely different things. Navy, number 1 in the nation in rushing offense, 318 yards. However, North Texas, 120th in rushing defense. They can't stop the run. You flip the script, North Texas, 6th in the nation in passing yards. Navy, 112th in pass defense in the nation. So you have two teams that know their strengths and know how to play to them. It's who can hang on to the ball. North Texas, turnover margin +7, 13th in the nation. I'm taking North Texas at home to win this game, but it is going to be close.
Josh?
I was a Marine. Sorry, I am a Marine. I'm not picking Navy. Give me Navy. I don't care how biased that is. I don't need any other explanation besides I'm not ever betting against the midshipmen. I love Blake Horvath. Since maybe I need to explain a little bit, as Bill mentioned, he should be in more serious conversation for the Heisman. That dude has literally broken the scene of the typical triple option only run the ball. The dude can throw it. Absolutely can throw it. 7 touchdowns through the air, 3 interceptions. He has ran 814 on the ground. That's still what he does best. But keep an eye on Eli Heidenreich, their wide receiver. Also runs a little bit as well. 41, 285 and 3 touchdowns on the ground, 25, 507, 4 in the air. He is the clear number 1 there. But as I said, I served in the Marine Corps. I'm picking Navy.
I did not serve in the Marine Corps, but thank you for your service, Josh. I'm going to go with Navy as well. I'm going with Navy. I think Navy, what they can do, they have converted 81.3% of their opportunities in the red zone this year. They are lethal in the red. They get to the red zone, they're basically scoring. They control the tempo well. They control the clock well. If they can keep that North Texas offense off the field, I think they win the game, and I think they're going to do it. I got Navy. Josh, so far we are still tied at this point.
By the way, I'll say this: we may be talking Navy the rest of the year. North Texas at Notre Dame, South Florida, and Memphis. They're highlighted games all week.
How awesome would it be if Navy made the college football playoff?
Beautiful.
I think that would be insane.
Beautiful.
That would be awesome.
Especially if they take Notre Dame along the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with that one. But we're going to go over to Virginia, the 15th ranked Virginia Cavaliers against Cal, going on the road. Josh, I'm starting with you. Where are you going?
When do you start?
I don't need to start. I can pick and choose when I want. That's you blew a 13-game lead, Josh. I messed
up letting you host. Anyway, for this, Virginia's been playing with fire. 2 overtime win in Florida State, overtime win versus Louisville, 2-point win versus Wazoo, overtime last week versus North Carolina. North Carolina doesn't fumble on the goal line. That game's over. They're making the long trip out west, 2,644 miles. True freshman quarterback JKS. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. I'm sure Bill's got it down already. 61% completion percentage, 1,982 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, however. Cal's coming off a heartbreaking loss last week at Virginia Tech, probably to end their ACC championship hopes. with the tiebreaker, maybe possible, but very unlikely. Cal secondary, third best coverage grade in college football, 133rd against the run. UVA has Jamari Taylor. He's the workhorse, 129 carries on the year. I think UVA is going to survive this one yet again, despite the long trip out west. Give me the Cavaliers because of that ground game.
Bill, are you taking the Cavaliers too?
So I am going with Jaron Kiavasagapulotele.
I knew
or
he would be
JKS for short. And the reason is the big thing. This is a trap game. 100%. You were coming off of a huge win against UNC that you had to play to the final minute for. Josh talked about it, almost 2,700 miles of travel. You are going to be gassed. You are going to be coming off an emotional high. And you've got JKS, who is going to carve up this Virginia pass defense that ranks 89th in the nation. They can't stop the pass. So I'm taking Cal here. It's going to be a close one, but I'm taking JKS to knock off Virginia.
I'm going with Bill. No, I did have Cal winning this game. I think, as you mentioned, Josh, Virginia's been playing with fire a little too much for my liking. I wrote a piece, I think, a week or two ago saying that I thought that they were legit title contenders. And the last few weeks, they've just been, I don't know what's been going on. The Golden Bears, they were the first ever team I saw in a live college football game years ago against UCLA. They won. So I'm picking the Golden Bears just for that reason. And the Bill picked them. So sorry, Josh. We're going to go over to this game. Oklahoma and Texas. Josh's Oklahoma Sooners
really?
falling off. Not Texas,
really?
Tennessee.
Okay.
Same difference. They both their average teams who always blow it at the end of the year. Anyways, sorry to all the fans. Oklahoma, Josh's favorite little team that just can't win when he picks them. Bill, I'm going to go with you first because I've made Josh go first every time. So, Bill, you have the floor.
Listen, with this matchup, the big key component is you are looking at a immovable force meets an immovable object. When you talk about the scoring offense of Tennessee, 45 points a game, second in the nation. Oklahoma's scoring defense, fifth in the nation at 12.5. Here's where it is concerning for me. Oklahoma ranks 119th in turnover margin. They cannot hold on to the ball. This Tennessee offense, if you give them any extra chance, Joey Aguilar and Chris Brazzell will make you pay. I'm saying this now. This is the big one. Tennessee is going to absolutely wax Oklahoma in Rocky Top on Saturday night. I've got Tennessee double digits.
I agree with Bill. Not just because it's Bill, but this game's going to have night mode in Tennessee. Night mode, which sounds just awesome in general. Place is going to be rocking. I don't know. Mateer is getting a little healthier, but he's not. I don't know. He rushed it. He rushed himself back, and he's cost his team. Tennessee, man, they have been really impressive. They should have beaten Georgia weeks back, in my opinion. They obviously didn't. They look really good. And another win like this, I think they could propel themselves. Give me the Volunteers. Josh, are we disagreeing again? Or are you going to take Tennessee?
So let me tell you why Oklahoma can win this game.
No. Are you picking Oklahoma?
No, I'm gonna take the balls.
Man,
but I'm gonna tell you why Oklahoma can though, and how.
Okay.
One, Tennessee gives up a lot of passing yards. If John Mateer can throw the football, it will be there. However, the problem with John Mateer lately, since he came back, he's only completing 58% of his passes for 575 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's been sacked 9 times. He's holding on to the ball a little bit too long, and he's not reading the field well. It has been reiterated over and over and over again. Arbuckle is almost getting frustrated with him because he's looking for the deep ball and the deep pass. And don't get me wrong, it's going to clearly be there versus the Vols. We have seen it all year. Their defense is basically the Cincinnati Bengals of college football. However, it's not like John's seeing the field well. That said, Aguilar had turnover issues in the beginning of the year when being pressured. He was picked off 5 times in 3 games. Since then, in the month of October, he only threw 1 interception. It has gotten better, but he hasn't really played a defense like Oklahoma, who was able to get to the pass rusher. But I'm a guy who believes in what's the word I'm looking for? Like when there's stories involved in the game. I can't think of it like
narratives.
Like, was it
Narratives?
Thank you. I'm sorry, I had brain lapse there. So last year, the offensive coordinator for Oklahoma was Seth Lurel. He is now an analyst at Tennessee. He was fired by Oklahoma, and this week, Oklahoma's coach said he has not spoke to him since firing him. A little bit of motivation there. Josh Heupel was fired by Stoops as offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. Joey Hazel, offensive coordinator at Tennessee. Former quarterback for Oklahoma. These boys are going to make it personal, and they are going to run it up. And I'll tell you right now, by the end of November, we may be talking about Oklahoma having a job opening with the schedule that they have at Tennessee, at Alabama versus Missouri versus LSU. And if it is, Oklahoma boosters need to learn how to kiss butt and bring Josh Heupel home.
I mean, we talked about Venables way early in the season, so maybe, it's possible. I'm not going against anything any longer. Kirby Smart could be fired, and I wouldn't be surprised because of what's been going on. No, I wouldn't be surprised. From what's going on, I would not be surprised. We're going to go to one of my favorite games of the week, and that's USC taking on Nebraska. We got I think this is going to be a great game, personally. I think the whole point of this game comes down to how Raiola plays. If he can push the ball down the field, I think Nebraska has a chance. But far too often, we have seen him just kind of be stagnant in the pocket. He can't move his feet. He gets sacked. He goes down. Drives end. Josh, where are you going with this game?
So I'm going to take Nebraska. Dylan Raiola is due to have that game. He has not had it in the 2 years that he has been at Nebraska where he has said, hey, I'm putting the team on my back and I'm going to go win that game. USC leans on the pass game. However, Nebraska's secondary is an elite pass defense this year, second ranked in all of college football. Put an asterisk on that, though. They haven't played a top 50 pass offense all year. We saw what happened to Oklahoma last week when they hadn't played a top 60. Emmett Johnson, however, I do think will be the difference. He's the workhorse running back for Nebraska. 8th in attempts, 5th in rushing yards, tied for 5th in yards per carry, 13th in touchdowns. He's been a do-all back for Nebraska. He carries the load. But this is that legacy game where Dylan Raiola and Matt Rule finally break the curse, get that top 25 win in front of Big Red Nation, even though it's a blackout. Not a fan of that. Wear your red. Take it in pride. But, yeah, give me Nebraska to upset USC and give them a small chance of still making the playoff.
I mean, Matt Rule just got extended, so all the rumors of him leaving probably are gone. So that would be big for them to get this win. Bill, are you taking Nebraska or are you going with the Trojans?
I'm going Trojans. And the big reason is USC's rush offense is a top 25 rushing offense in the nation. Nebraska 90th in rush offense, 156 yards. And we just watched freshman King Miller from Calabasas, California, run for 70 yards last week. I truly believe this, and I'm going to say this now. I understand that Matt Rule just got an extension. He also got an extension from Baylor before taking the Carolina Panthers job 4 months later. I don't think that stops him from taking another job. And I think this game is going to be the start of the conversation of, has Matt Rule played out his time here at Nebraska?
I don't hate that because I'm going with the Trojans as well. USC's offense is for real, and I don't know if Nebraska's going to be able to keep up with them. Dylan Raiola is going to have to basically be Superman, in my opinion, if they want a chance to win this game. And USC's defense hasn't been horrible this year, and I think they are going to solidify themselves as a potential playoff team with this win. And I know Nebraska's not a top team, but going on the road in any game is difficult to do, especially in that environment. I think USC is going to get that big road win here. And I think the Trojans do it. Lincoln Riley gets his win, puts this team into position.
By the way, Big Red Nation, if Matt Rule does do a double backstab and take off back home to Penn State, your replacement is very easy. He's down at Iowa State. Go hire Matt Campbell. There's no debate. He's been able to recruit at Iowa State. He goes to Nebraska. He'll lock down the Midwest. Matt Campbell was the easiest answer of all coaches' hires if you're Nebraska.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be so many open positions here with this by the end of the season. It's going to be insane. We have one more game we want to talk about. Yeah. God, it's going to be a wild end of the year. We have one more game, and I saved this one for last because I know this one's near and dear to Josh's heart as he's wearing his Homer shirt over there. Josh, I'm making you go first because you just want to point out you and I have disagreed on 2 games right now, so we can shift the balance a little bit in the standings here. Are you taking your Bearcats, or are you going with the Utes? Because you have always said don't bet against Utah at home. Are you taking the Bearcats to pull the upset? And once again, I just want to point out, we regardless of our picks, since we have rooting interest in Cincy, because we want our guy Liam to shave his head. So, Josh, what is your pick?
I'm taking the Utes. Very simple. As I question Satterfield on the road in a big environment like this. That crowd is going to be absolutely electric. You want to talk about fire uniforms? Go look up Utah's helmets. They're wearing the red and black, basically a blackout as well. Under Satterfield, prior to this year, UC is 2-7 on the road. Their wins this year were versus Kansas and Oklahoma State. They haven't really been tested on the road. Last year, they played at Texas Tech, lost by 3. Year before that, they had BYU, and they played BYU close as well. I don't remember the exact score of that. If UC is going to win, though, they need Cyrus Allen, Caleb Goody, and Jeff Codwell to have themselves a game. But more importantly, Joe Royer has to step up. He's kind of had a quiet year after coming back and a lot of first-round hype. I believe it was Todd McShay who had him as the 32nd pick going to the Chiefs in the preseason. He needs to be involved more. And Salisbury needs to do what he's been doing. Gentlemen, he's been doing it all year. Ever since that one bad pass, and it was the dumbest pass I have ever seen versus Nebraska, he has been perfect for the Bearcats. And he needs to continue to be perfect for the Bearcats if the Bearcats have any chance of winning this game. But I have to share this stat because it is an amazing one, and it just tells you how good he has been. 7 straight games of at least 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Only 4 quarterbacks have done it since 2018. Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, and Brendan Salisbury.
He's going to be an above-average NFL quarterback.
So
average,
if Brendan Salisbury is able to go into Utah and win this game, I demand every single person puts him in their podium ballot because he's going to number 1.
Utah.
But if he can do it, Utah, I'm still taking Utah because now it's a win-win for me. Utah wins, then I get a point at least out of it. And Cincinnati wins, then my heart is happy. In the hope of big noon kickoff, BYU, UC is a legit possibility.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would be huge. Bill, are you taking the Bearcats or are you going with the Utes?
I'm going Bearcats. And the reason I say I'm going Bearcats is because this –
Bill, that's going to be the one you miss.
And hear me out. The reason I'm going Bearcats is if you remember the last time we had a top team come into Utah that could pass the ball well, that could move around in the trenches like Dante Corleone at defensive tackle, what happened? Utah got waxed by Texas Tech. I say this since he is going to win because obviously there's the question of Devin Dampier. Is he fully healthy? Is he not healthy? By all accounts, he should be going, but I'm not 100% confident he's fully healthy. That tackle duo at Utah has a little bit of questions in pass protection. There's a little bit of question up the middle, and Dante Corleone could cause some havoc with that Utah rushing offense. But I say this now. This is the Brendan Sorsby legacy game.
Man, I have been so split on this game because I think these two teams are both basically equal in my opinion. The Bearcats, they've allowed the fewest sacks in the country, which is really, really impressive to do for Cincinnati. They're running the ball great. The only thing that keeps me from picking them fully right now is that the game is in Salt Lake City. I'm going to take the Utes by a field goal. I need to see Cincy win on the road first, win a big game on the road, and then I can trust them fully.
I mean,
I think in a weird way, I feel like Cincinnati's the better team. The more I think about it, but I can't get over the home field advantage that the Utes have.
And the thing that's crazy about Utah is honestly people will talk about like, oh, they got 2 losses. Yeah, but they might have just lost to the 2 best teams in the Big 12. When it's all said and done, they might have just lost to Texas Tech and BYU, who are arguably the 2 best teams in the Big 12, and have a very good chance of being in both being in the college football playoff, pending the landscape of how everything turns out.
Yeah,
I hope I'm wrong. I really do, but it's honestly, Matt, I think you said it best. I need to see it on the road. Yep. The 2-7 record scares the crap out of me. But if they win, I maybe need to start worrying about Satterfield getting a bigger job.
Maybe.
Brian Kelly, come home.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Just before we get out of here, just want to remind everybody what the standings look like going into the weekend. Josh and I have disagreed on 2 picks this week, so it theoretically should change this week, unless we go 1-1, which I mean would be kind of anticlimactic. But anything you guys want to talk about before we get out of here? Looking forward to this week. Any predictions about coach firings or anything? Bill, you seem like you want to talk about something.
I've got 2 predictions, and I think both of these are very possible. The first one, our next coach firing is going to come from the SEC, and Hugh Freeze is going to be canned after Kentucky blows out Auburn. Number 2, the ACC picture gets a lot clearer when Stanford pulls the upset over Pitt.
Okay. I mean, Bill's coming out here with fire. Josh, are you matching his fire? Or are you going to fade just like you did with all the picks?
I'm going to tell you the one team that obviously I've been super high on all year is Georgia Tech. They played their best game of offense last year. This NC State game scares me, though. I really like their quarterback, and I really like their running back, Hollywood Smothers, and I don't know why the quarterback just flipped in my mind.
CJ Bailey.
Thank you, CJ Bailey. 6'6", a little bit on the skinnier side, but can make some throws. Will not be playing for NC State next year. I like Georgia Tech to escape with the win, but that is another one I'm watching for upset, which if NC State wins, light a match to the ACC and just watch it burn.
I'm going to go with something from the ACC as well. We've talked about this, and this is not just trying to fuel my narrative, I promise. I think we are going to have another coach fired by the time we get back on the show, and I think it's going to be Mr. 2-time champion, Dabo Swinney. I don't know if it's going to be more of a firing as a mutually agreed to split. I think Duke is going to beat Clemson this week on the road, and I think another home loss like that is going to push things to the extreme with this Tigers program. I think Dabo is going to leave, and then it's going to open the door for him to go to LSU, to Florida, somewhere that he could go to. He needs to change the scenery. I think Clemson needs a new coach. They need something. I think when we come back here next week, Dabo might not have a job. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. But we just want to thank everybody for tuning in to our show once again. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, give this video a like. We're here every single Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Pacific time. I got it right. Shout out to all the West Coast people who watch this. And we want to thank you all again, and we will see you next week for another edition of the TWSN Tailgate. Thank you.